good. It's like a good foundation with bad toppings. That's basically how I see it. I've already discussed this a bit last time, but like this just goes back into how I feel like game devs don't actually play enough games. And hey, maybe they don't have enough time to. It is what it is. But they should be hiring people like me that just play games all day. I feel like us because they're making a lot of obvious wrong choices for all of these game devs, and these are not indie companies. These are companies that are getting like 30 to 50 million dollars in funding. So it's not like nothing. But yeah, so they launch with essentially pay to win, and what happens is all these games they will have playtesters and a Discord, and it always turns into this kind of echo chamber. It's always gonna be biased because the people that are willing to play your game super early on are the people that are willing to overlook its flaws, right? Like these are the most dedicated people. So all the feedback for these new games always gets churned through this echo chamber of people that are biased in favor of your game already. And that always happens. Try Q-Bill this game. And then that kind of like makes these game devs just like it just like dumbs them down so much. Like this happened in what's that game? Stormgate as well. So basically they have pay to win aspects. You can buy materials which you can make items. You can buy it with cash. Obviously from any casual perspective that's pay to win, right? But then you have your dedicated playtesters. They're like, well, it's not really pay to win. This is happening in the bazaar right now too, by the way. They're like, it's not really pay to win. It's more like pay for less grind, because really the best items in the game they have like 3 sockets, and you can't buy these socketed equipment with your money. You can only buy the not socketed equipment, and that stuff you can just go in and farm if you spend like 5 hours playing the game and everything goes perfect. Like it's not really pay to win. So because people like this are always doing stuff like this, it's logical, right? These are dedicated playtesters. They're defending their favorite game, or a game that they've invested a lot of time into. They want to see the game succeed, so they're defending it naturally. It's not really their fault, but what happens is this is a huge echo chamber. And the main point here is both the devs and the playtesters are too, I don't want to say dumb, but let's say inexperienced. They're too inexperienced to realize that no casual player is like you. You are the hardcore 0.1%. Like, maybe I realize this better because I know, I've been through this situation a lot in many different early playtests. So I kind of understand this, but most devs seriously don't understand this concept of like the casual player that's gonna make up 99% of your player base is nothing like the playtesters that you are running all your feedback through. Not a single casual player is gonna look at you can buy, uh, you know, you can buy currency to buy equipment. Like not a single casual player is gonna look at that and be like, well, it's not the best items in the game that I'm buying, so it's not that big of a deal, it's whatever. No, casual player is gonna see you can buy equipment, and you can buy equipment just by swiping a card, like, oh, that's pay to win, I'm not playing. Like, it should be, I think it's really obvious that that's the casual player perspective, but they don't realize it. So that happened. And to the devs' credit, they corrected it really quickly. Once these reviews started pouring in about how it's pay to win, they kind of removed all of it, or a lot of it, within like a day or so. So, to their credit, they were willing to remove it and they did it rather quickly. However, part of the damage is already done at that point when you're doing stuff like that, right? So, still not ideal. Get evasion here. By the way, I'm going Q build, so I went passive 1, Q4. That's a good synergy there. Evasion 7 this game because Tychus is going to melt me if I don't have evasion. So that's the whole pay to win thing. Um, And then there's other stuff where like there's like really big gaps. There's like really big gaps in between the equipment score of certain maps. So for the first map, you can be anywhere from 100 power to 300 power, and a 300 power guy is effectively twice as strong as a 100 power guy. And it's just not a good new player experience, right? A lot of new players are going in, they're like 100 power, starting off beginner, and what's happening is these more experienced players are 300 power, so they're just meeting people twice as powerful as they are, and then they just get farmed, and then they die. And then it's like, and it's just like the most miserable experience ever if that happens to you. Not only because you die and you don't really achieve anything, that's already bad for a casual player retention, right? You already, that's not something that will happen to a player and make them want to keep playing. But also, that if that happens, your players are gonna feel like it's really unfair. The new players are gonna not only feel like they achieved nothing and they lost, they also feel like the game is just fundamentally unfair when you go in at 100 power and you died at people with 300 power. So like, if I was a consultant for this company, there's like, I would never have allowed any of that to happen. Like, it's so obvious. If you want your game to not die immediately, you need to be able to attract casual players. You need a easy onboarding experience for the casual players. Like, your first map needs to be strictly you know, watched and monitored for any gear score imbalances. And the gear score for the first map at least should be way less than like 200. So like, I don't know, that's just like all this really obvious things to me. Like, I played their game for 10 hours. I already know that, like, I got farmed by like some max level guy when I'm like just starting off. Like, I already know this is terrible. I wouldn't, it feels awful, you know. I would never want something like this. But I don't know, like, they don't seem to understand what feels terrible for casuals and what doesn't. You know, that week when I was just going around 1v3ing people, like, I was just thinking in my head, every one of these people I kill in a 1v3, half of them will never play this game again. And like, it's not my problem, because they didn't give me a way to solo queue. This, for some reason, there's a small game with no players forcing teams. I'm not even gonna get started on forcing teams in a battle royale escape mode game, like, without a player base. Like, that's kind of dangerous, but alright, you know, whatever. You do you. But like, literally I knew every single 1v3 I was doing, half of the players I kill will never play this game again. But like, they don't give me any other options. I can't play the next map 1v3 because the next map is also filled with sweaty tryhards that are like in Discord voice calming with max level gear, so I cannot play the next map that I want to play as a solo player. And if I can't play it as a solo player, then I'm just gonna go to a lower map because that's the only thing I can do as a solo. So like, there's like, you know, the game itself is good, but basically all of these structures surrounding it, there's so many things that don't make sense and that obviously, to me at least, make a casual player not want to play your game even though your base game is good. And you know, the devs just don't understand any of this. Too bad. Yeah, we're talking about Seekers of Skybale. SSB. This is a game I played a little bit in queues the last week or two. Well, I'm just sharing with you because someone asked me specifically what I thought was wrong with the game or why it's getting negative reviews, so, you know, that is why. Sharing because they asked, essentially. I actually think this 70% slow is better than this 80% slow now. 70% AoE slow. It lasts longer too. How did I kill their Lili but then my whole team died for free? matter. I'm killing their whole team too. Double fat Zeratul, skinny Zeratul reporting for duty. Did he Odin at 1 HP? Classic panic Odin, unlucky. What game was this? Seekers of Skyvale. I've been playing it in queue for the last week or so. It's the MOBA extraction game. What happened to Praetorian? Didn't he used to be good? Well, everyone makes mistakes. I mean, one mistake in a game doesn't mean you're garbage.
Conigans just resubbed for 43 months. I'm back, baby.
Welcome back, Conigans. Love to see it. Thanks for the 43 and thanks for the support. Much appreciated as always. Really is dumb though. You have to get millions of dollars, spend years on dev, lucky enough to get your game released, then it's DOA because of executive interference. Yeah, I mean, that's why it's really funny for me because like I'm not even capping you. I think I am like literally one of the best qualified like I feel like I'm so well qualified to be the CEO of one of these PvP and indie game companies because that's what I do for a living, right? I play PvP games for a living. I've been playing PvP games for 30 years nonstop. There's not a CEO on the planet that's played as many PvP games as me. Maybe not CEO, but at least like a high-level consultant. But the thing is, you know, all of these established companies, they're never gonna hire someone that's played 30 years of video games as a consultant because they don't see that as valuable. But it's ironic because they, you know, they don't see what's actually valuable. All these companies, they can make like a decent game, but they don't understand gamers, and that second part really hurts them. Do I want more flying kick range? Not really. I'm gonna get tankier. I don't really have trouble getting on who I need to queue. Yeah, a lot of people think negative feedback is from haters. People are too sheltered these days. A lot of the negative feedback in these discords becomes ignored. That was really bad in the Stormgate case, especially. I will say Seekers has not had that problem too much. I will say Seekers has been, you know, reasonably receptive to feedback at least. I'm missing too much soak. I'm just gonna got a kill good enough. You feel like you just have to communicate the value? Yeah, I can't be bothered. I honestly thought about making a thread in the Seekers of Skyvale forum, but the problem with Seekers is like half the damage is done. Like they've already done half the damage. I was legit thinking about making a post in their feedback thread though. I was thinking about making a post in their feedback thread, but like, you know, for it to be worth my time, they would need to pay me a good amount. Like I ain't, you know, I gotta spend so much time if I want to fix. Like they got a full team of people with a 30 million budget and they can't fix their problem, right? So if they want me to fix it, it would like cost me a lot of time. So it would. But I did think about like making some thread in their feedback forum. I'm like, listen guys, your game is averaging 500 concurrents in early access. And in their Discord, there's like a bunch of hardcore players, right? And I see just all these hardcore players. So the way the release schedule worked was they had not early access. They had their demo weekend. So they had a week where you could play the demo, but the demo was the game basically. But they just had to mark it as a demo to get into like Steam's Next Fest to get more publicity. So they had a demo weekend, and then they were gonna go into early access right after that demo week. And all the hardcore players in the Discord were like, oh, I can't wait until this game goes early access. I can't wait until this game gets released next week. We're gonna have so many players. All these problems, guys, don't worry. Because people were mentioning some of these problems, like noobs getting farmed by super experienced players, gear score being too large, right? It's not like a problem only I can see. Like people are having these problems. So people were mentioning these problems, and all these hardcore players are like, don't worry, guys. Soon as this game releases next week, we're gonna have so many players, thousands and tens of thousands of players. Maybe we'll be the next League of Legends, and then none of this will ever be a problem. We're only having this problem because we don't have enough players right now. And I'm just sitting there, like, I'm like, you got 500 players right now. The game is literally going to be the same this demo week and the next week. The only difference is in the demo week you get to play all the heroes for free, and in the non-demo week you're not gonna get all the heroes for free. You're gonna have to pay for them. And they were running a bunch of advertisements during the demo week. Like Grubby was streaming it, like Pobelter, Dendy, you know, the pro Warcraft players, pro Dota players, pro League of Legends players. I'm like, you're literally running all of your advertisements right now. Like right now, you're running all of your marketing campaign. I didn't want to say it though, because it was just like some random game I found, and I'm just playing it on a whim, you know. So like, I couldn't be bothered. But I was just sitting there thinking, like, what on earth makes all of you think that you are going to have more players? You're already throwing everything you have at it at the demo weekend, and the players peaked at 500. I'm like, why do all these people think there's just going to be a million extra players just because the game goes from demo to launch? Like what magical thing are they seeing that I'm missing? Right? So yeah, I thought about making like a thread. I was like, listen devs, your game peaked at 500. This was the exact same thing that happened in Stormgate. I warned the Stormgate devs about this exact same damn thing. Oh, like, your game peaked at 500 in the demo. It's not gonna get any higher when you release. In fact, when it doesn't get any higher, and you start being in trouble because the player base isn't enough to sustain your game, you should hire me as a consultant, because I will call this, you know, if I made my thread back then a few weeks ago, I would be like, you know, I'm calling this. Everyone in your Discord is saying you're gonna be great. You're gonna have so many more players. I don't think you're getting any more players. So when you see this message, you can message me and ask for my consulting fee rate. I did think about making that thread, but I couldn't be bothered because it's just like some random small game I found, you know, just playing it for fun. Maybe I should have though. Maybe I should have. Maybe the next game this happens to, I'll do that. Was that a rant? I guess it kind of was. I don't really care about this one so much though. This is more just like, I even think it's like a rant. It's more like gossip. It's more like game gossip, you know? Because I don't really care about this one that much. Now the Stormgate ones were rants. Just interesting stuff to me. don't have to go too hard. Oh, he almost got him. I can't reach though. I mean, they're losing top keep, mid keep here. If we just stall, we're kinda in a good spot. Well, whatever. The Lucio and I are basically unkillable, so this should be fine, I think.
Like shooting orcs in a barrel. Hey, what happened to your killing spree? All right, it's over. Mayhem! Yes! Time to show them what the storm pikes can do. Oh, nice one.
Oh, hey man, how you doing? 666 damage. I don't really know what happened this game, but you know, I was in the middle of their team and I was really annoying. Worked out, worked out.
Fascinating.
Taste this. Keep destroyed. That was for ceremony.
Now that deserves a food.
Found the ramp more interesting than Chen play? I found it more interesting too. It baffles me to this day how they can have so much money, but not understand gamers. MVP. The ranting must have helped. MVP. That proves the ranting is OP.